Ever feel like your car owner's manual is speaking a different language? Like when it mentions lifetime transmission fluid,
Right.
and you're kind of picturing never having to think about it again.
Yeah.
Today, we are going deep on why that might not be the whole story. We've got a stack of articles here from BG Swarmy,
Okay.
a company that really digs into automatic transmissions, and let's just say, there are some surprises under the hood.
Yeah, it's like a secret handshake in the automotive world, you know?
Mhm.
Some things just aren't always spelled out for the average driver.
Right.
And when it comes to transmissions, the stakes are high.
Yeah,
A replacement can be a serious budget buster.
you're telling me.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, BG Swarmy calls out this lifetime fluid claim. They point to companies like Ace and Warner, a major transmission manufacturer, who actually recommend fluid changes every 20,000 kilometers or 2 years. That's a far cry from lifetime, wouldn't you say?
A lifetime for your car, maybe, but not necessarily for the fluid itself. What's important here is understanding that even these robust mechanical systems
Yeah.
rely on fluids that break down over time. It's about having all the information to make the best decisions for your car's health.
Which is what we're all about in this deep dive.
Mhm.
Okay, so help me wrap my head around this.
Yeah.
Why is transmission fluid such a big deal? It's not just about lubrication, right?
Right.
Okay.
Think of it as the circulatory system of your transmission.
Okay.
You've got all these intricate parts that need to work together seamlessly, and the fluid is what keeps everything moving smoothly. It impacts everything from how smoothly your car shifts gears to how efficiently it uses fuel.
Okay, so it's more than just preventing things from grinding together. It's about optimizing the entire system.
Exactly.
Okay.
And just like our own circulatory system benefits from clean, healthy blood,
Right.
your transmission relies on fresh, high-quality fluid. In fact, BG Swarmy cites a 2001 study that found a direct correlation between transmission cleanliness and improved performance, fuel economy, and even the lifespan of the transmission itself.
So this isn't just some marketing spiel. There's real science behind keeping things clean in there.
Right.
But wouldn't that mean that just flushing out the old fluid would do the trick?
Right.
What's the harm in a simple swap?
Ah, I see where you're going with that. But think about it this way. Imagine trying to clean a greasy pan by just rinsing it with water.
Right.
You might get rid of some surface grime,
Sure.
but the stubborn stuff will stick around and continue to build up over time.
Okay, that's a visual I can get behind.
Yeah,
You're saying a simple flush doesn't get to the root of the problem.
right.
So what happens to the fluid that makes it go from good to go to get it out of here?
Well, one of the biggest culprits is heat.
Okay.
Just like that pan on your stove, your transmission generates a lot of heat.
Right.
And over time, that heat starts to break down the additives in the fluid that keep everything running smoothly. It's a gradual process, but eventually those degraded additives turn into something called sludge and varnish.
Sludge and varnish. Those don't sound like good things. What exactly are they, and how do they mess with my transmission?
Think of sludge as the sticky, gooey residue that clings to all the moving parts inside your transmission.
Oh.
It's essentially the byproduct of those degraded additives, and it can interfere with the smooth operation of valves, gears, and all those delicate components. Varnish, on the other hand, is like a hardened film that builds up on surfaces.
So it's like gunk inside my transmission, clogging things up and making it harder for everything to move freely. No wonder my car might start shifting roughly or feel sluggish.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And here's where that myth of a simple flush falls apart. Flushing might seem like a quick fix,
Right.
but it's like using a garden hose to clean a delicate piece of jewelry.
Oh.
You might do more harm than good. BG Swarmy is quite adamant about this, and frankly, their decades of developing specialized transmission equipment gives them some serious credibility on this topic.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my curiosity. So if flushing isn't the answer, what does BG Swarmy propose instead? What's their secret sauce for keeping our transmissions happy? All right, spill the tea. What's BG Swamy's magic formula for a happy transmission?
Well, they advocate for a three-pronged approach. Clean, change, and protect. It's like a spa day for your car's transmission.
Okay, I'm so here for this spa day analogy. Walk me through it.
So first up, we've got to tackle that stubborn sludge and varnish. BG Swarmy has a product called BG Quick Clean, and what's fascinating here is that it doesn't just push the gunk around. It's formulated to break down sludge and varnish at a molecular level.
Hold on, back up. How does it do that? Dissolving gunk at a molecular level sounds incredibly high-tech.
It is. Essentially, the molecules in BG Quick Clean are designed to target those sludge and varnish particles, latch onto them, and break them down into smaller, harmless bits. These tiny bits can then be easily flushed away without causing any damage.
Wow, so it's like sending in a microscopic cleaning crew to get into all those nooks and crannies. And once that deep clean is done, then comes the change part, right?
Exactly. This is where their patented BG-PXD2 machine comes into play. Instead of a simple flush, which can leave residue behind, this machine ensures a complete fluid exchange. Every drop of old fluid is replaced with fresh, clean fluid, giving your transmission the clean slate it deserves.
Okay, I'm starting to see why BG Swomey is so against those quick and dirty flushes. They're really emphasizing a thorough approach. But what about the protect part? Is that like putting on sunscreen after a facial?
That's a great way to think about it. Their BG-ATC Plus is an additive that comes in after the cleaning and fluid change. It neutralizes any acidic byproducts that might be lurking after the deep clean.
Acidic byproducts, where do those come from?
Remember how we talked about heat breaking down the fluid's additives? Well, that process can sometimes create acidic residues that, if left unchecked, can corrode metal parts over time. The BG-ATC Plus acts like a neutralizer, counteracting those acids and creating a more hospitable environment for your transmission.
So it's like giving your transmission a long-lasting shield of protection.
I love it.
It really highlights how BG Swomey isn't just selling fluids, they're invested in the long-term health of your transmission.
Absolutely. And speaking of fluids, did you know that the type of transmission fluid used in cars has changed drastically over the years? This is where it gets really interesting from an engineering standpoint.
Well, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
Well, you see, there's been this constant push for better fuel efficiency in cars, right? And one way to achieve that is by making transmissions more sophisticated. We're talking more gears, more complex designs, all in the name of squeezing every bit of power out of the engine.
More gears. I remember when 6-speed seems like a lot. Now my friend's truck has 10. How does that even work?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Basically, the more gears you have, the more finely you can control how the engine's power is delivered to the wheels. This means you can optimize for fuel efficiency, especially at highway speeds. It's like having a wider range of gears on a bicycle. You can find the perfect one for every situation. But here's the kicker. These new transmissions are incredibly precise machines.
Precise. Meaning what exactly?
Meaning they have incredibly tight tolerances with tiny passages and valves that the fluid needs to flow through. Think of it like this. Imagine pouring syrup through a coffee filter versus pouring water. The water flows through easily, but the syrup, clogged mess. Older transmissions were like that coffee filter trying to deal with syrup. The thicker fluids were fine. But these newer transmissions, they need a much thinner, lower viscosity fluid to operate properly.
So we're not just talking about changing the fluid. We're talking about a fundamental shift in the type of fluid needed for these modern marvels. That's fascinating and a little intimidating, to be honest. It makes me wonder if mechanics are keeping up with these advancements.
That's a great question, and it brings up an important point.
You know, I have to admit, I've always just taken my car in for service and assume the mechanics are up to date on all the latest technology. But now that you mention it, with things changing so rapidly,
Right.
it makes you wonder.
It really does. And this isn't just about using the right type of fluid. It's about understanding the entire system and how to properly maintain it.
Right.
For example, we've talked about BG Swomey's three-step approach, but there are other reputable brands and methods out there. The key is finding a mechanic who prioritizes that level of care no matter what products they use.
So it's about finding a mechanic who's not just going to do a quick flush and send me on my way, but someone who understands the intricate workings of these modern transmissions and the specialized care they require.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask your mechanic about their approach to transmission maintenance. Ask them if they're familiar with the latest fluid technologies and cleaning processes. A good mechanic will be happy to discuss these things with you and put your mind at ease.
It's about being proactive and advocating for your car. I'm starting to think of it like choosing a doctor. You want someone who's knowledgeable and up to date on the latest treatments, not someone who's stuck in their old ways.
What a fantastic analogy. Because just like our health, preventative care is always better and usually less expensive in the long run than dealing with a major problem down the line.
Absolutely. And I'd rather spend a little now on proper maintenance than face a hefty transmission repair bill later. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the intricate world of automatic transmission fluid, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
That lifetime fluid is a bit of a misnomer. Be proactive. Educate yourself about your car's transmission, ask your mechanic questions, and don't be afraid to push back if something doesn't feel right. A little knowledge and a proactive approach can go a long way in keeping your car running smoothly and saving you money in the process.
Words to live by. A big thanks to our expert for breaking down this complex topic and empowering us to be more informed car owners. And to our listeners, we hope you found this deep dive valuable. Until next time, drive safe and stay curious.